Hi, welcome to Business Influencers. I'm your host, Chri Salem. If you are new to Business Influencers, you found us here at the TALRadio platform, an acronym for Touch a Life Foundation. Again, the TALRadio platform has a wide array of different podcasts across different topics that will interest you both on a personal and professional level. The great news about Business Influencers, we've been around since the start of this platform. Yes, going on over 4 years. It's hard to believe how fast time flies. But again, we wanted to thank, as always, our loyal listeners from the beginning. And again, if you are new, you can follow us here on TALRadio under Business Influencers. And we're also on YouTube with our video portion, Apple and Spotify as well. Feel free to follow us and subscribe there for a show each week as we bring in a subject matter expert sharing their words of wisdom and insights to help elevate you and your business to the next level. Our show today is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types and an opportunity to meet new people for the first time. Now, it is a membership program taking out all the noise out of social media. You get to generate genuine and authentic relationships with the people you choose to interact with. Well, we got a great show for today. We are going to be talking about how to lead to cash operations impacts project success. We are going to be here today with Joe Infante. Joe is a seasoned business and technology executive, former U.S. Army drill instructor with the 82nd Airborne Division, and a fractional CIO who helps leaders identify root causes behind stalled growth, repeated mistakes, and misaligned decisions. Joe brings a calm, relatable, and story-driven style blending operational clarity, leadership psychology, and real-world examples to show how unconscious behaviors influence results in both business and life. Now, I can keep going on, and you're going to learn more about where to find Joe, more about his website, and how to contact him later in the show. And without further ado, we welcome Joe Infante. Joe, how are you doing today?
Good morning, Christopher. Great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to sit with you.
Yes, it's great to have you here. So, I'd like to talk, we have a lot of people that listen to this show that are, either run small to mid-sized businesses. We have people that work in larger organizations. Perhaps, again, they're leading projects. They're leading their operations in their organizations or play a leadership role in some way. Can you first, before we start diving into, how to lead to cash operations impacts project success, what does the lead to cash mean to those that may not understand?
So, yep. And it could mean, if you talk to a financial person, it means one thing. If you talk to an operations person, it means another. So for the purposes of our discussion and what we're doing at Compass Left, it really is the business, how business comes in the door, how business is serviced, their products, goods and services, how we collect money, how we pay our vendors, and how we calculate profit. So it's the business, right? And from a technology standpoint, when we walk in the door, it's really trying to understand the lead to cash. Hey, how are we making money here? That's kind of the context. So financial people only look at it, they don't look at the operations piece of the business. When you say lead to cash, they're just looking at the financial part. We're discussing this as a complete end-to-end business operation.
Got it. Love it. So I hope everyone has some clarity around what that means now for your business. I mean, this is the stuff that you have to run your business. So if we look at, from an operational standpoint, Joe, how can this impact project success? If you feel free to share, the foundation to that, the process, anything that can help the listeners here now better move forward or make corrections or adjustments to what they're doing.
Yeah, this is, based on 30 years of experience, sharing my experience. And everybody kind of can relate to a lot of this and have their views on it. But what we're noticing is, especially now, and this is even putting cloud aside for a second because that's a whole nother subject, but business is moving fast. And what we're seeing is projects, and we'll talk about technology, real quick, in the context of projects come in the door, and it's almost like, they're brought in and processed so quickly, and they're only looked in the context of, technology, right? What feature sets or what are we solving from a technology standpoint? And what I'm really trying to stress to our clients is, before you ever even look at, and it usually starts with a demo. Hey, we need a new CRM, or this isn't doing something. I've seen this cool software and it does X. Let's do a demo. And the first thing I'm telling clients when we're walking in the door is to get a really good understanding, a high level, not 9,000 pages and Price Waterhouse audit of your lead to cash process. And that's important for a couple of reasons. A lot of time, depending on the size of the organization, right? But even so, you see this in mid-sized organizations that have scaled up quickly. And that's typically the norm, where the executive team or key managers kind of lost track of certain aspects of the actual operation of how it's operating, right? Or, not to use redundant words, but how it's functioning. So there may be 3 systems or 4 manual processes that are happening that, the director of sales doesn't understand what happens in finance to figure out how much money we made. So the first thing I tell the clients is just get everybody in the room and just, it's a flow chart out, and this is what we'll do, and lay it out and say, does everybody agree? Generally, at a very high level, this is how we bring clients in, this is how we process it, this is how we get paid, this is how we pay our vendors, and this is how we calculate profit, just at a very high level. Then you can start talking about a technology or how to improve something, or if something gets priority to get fixed. You may sit there and say, yeah, that sales problem is an issue, but our financial platform is way outdated, and that needs attention first, right? So it's business fundamentals, I think, and everybody looks at technology projects just from the technology aspect and not the business aspect.
Can we talk a little bit about that? Because I think that is so important, because technology obviously is vitally important when it comes to systems and processes to streamline operations, to make your business more efficient. So we got to be able to know. You don't have to know how the technology necessarily works. And I think that's what sometimes makes business owners they're like, I don't understand it, so we're not going to do it.
Right. Yeah. That is it's so important. And I think that's what, when you look at, my idea of understanding lead to cash as a picture, the business owner or the person that's, that doesn't have a lot of expertise or feels that they don't have enough expertise, gets them a little bit more understanding, because they don't even have to know how the mouse clicks work. They need to know what the outcome of the technology is. That, you know what I mean, and what it's not doing, more importantly. Because I see this a lot. It's so often, and I'm writing about this now, you see a very strong person in the organization pushing for something, and a lot of other people around them, back off because they're strong. They may be strong technology-wise, and the other people aren't. And it could be a great decision to do it, but it may be a terrible decision to do it. So what I like to do is have, and I don't want to beat this to death, but my lead to cash chart, let's call it that way, my flow diagram. And then, it shows it has call outs to where there's problems. So when somebody's trying to solve a problem, it's like, okay, you're trying to solve your problem. Well, what's the ROI? If we invest in this, what's our return on investment? You can have a better discussion than simply what I see now, which is, everybody kind of sits back and just says, well, how much is it going to cost? Well, whoever's driving that project, I don't want to say, it's almost human nature to give you the best scenario. And it never is the best scenario. There's the best scenario, and then there's the worst scenario, and then there's the realistic one. So a lot of times when we're walking in the door and they're saying this is a $20,000 project, we're going back, no, this isn't. This is a $150,000 project. And then you start talking about why it is, all the other things that they're, they're not putting in the TCO, or, they're just checking the boxes. And mid-sized businesses, small businesses, it's a big impact. $20,000, $15,000, $50,000, that's a big investment. And, it goes all the way up the scale when you get into the enterprise, obviously. But
yeah. I mean, it's something, again, it comes down to communication and understanding, again, technology, understanding how it's going to impact the business, and business understanding the technology, not down to like the nitty gritty of it, but just, again, how the technology is going to make them more efficient and generate the results they're seeking on, whatever that is in terms of their
and it's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
It's not easy.
Hard.
No.
It isn't, and that's the thing. I think that from our standpoint as the consultants, it's tough because what ends up happening, you have to be. It's like anything else. It's with doctors, accountants, lawyers, everything else. You have to be careful of who you're bringing in, and I think part of what we need to do as consultants is be able to help not only just bridge the technology piece, because I don't want to say that's the easy part, but honestly, it's the easy part. The technology is the easy part. The hard part is understanding the organization, the culture, the people, and you have to do it very quickly to assimilate. And how do you effectively, get them all on board? Because that's the thing. It's about just getting them all on board, and that's kind of hard to do internally. I don't want to say organizations can't.
No, it's hard. I mean, going back to communication, think about, like, I'm not saying all people who are, technically inclined are the same way, but the common ground with a lot of technical people is they're analytical in terms of the way they think. Now you're talking to someone who runs the show, they want results, less detail, and the analytical person wants more detail before they buy in. So they're both task oriented, yet one's detailed, one's not. How do they communicate to each other? That's usually the problem, or can be the solution at the same time.
Well, and there's also the other thing too, is what we see a lot is just the two people that have been working together for 15 years or maybe 3 years that don't like each other. I hate to say
That's true.
But you know what I mean? So now where it's like, you kind of almost have to be a psychologist because our job is to get things done. And you know what? We do it. That I'm just saying that's the hard part about consulting is that you have to be able to go in there and take, one of the worst things in the world is, everybody's very busy. That's another, we can talk about timelines is another thing. Everybody's
that. I think that's so important about, we always hear time management, but there's so many distractions because and all you're really doing is managing distractions. You're not prioritizing correctly. You're not valuing, but based on those priorities, what should I be putting my energy into versus the things that are not serving us and getting rid of?
Absolutely 100%. And this is another exercise when because every project always has some arbitrary time, almost always, right? I'll say this, there's very, very few projects that we've worked on that has a defined timeline. What I mean by defined timeline is this has to be done. And I don't mean because the CEO wants to get it done by January 1st because it's a new year and it'll all start clean, because that's usually what you hear. But things like end of life, our system is end of life on November 1st. We have to be off this thing because we won't be supported. That's a defined timeline. But when you get these what I call arbitrary, timelines, it's okay. Who's going to be on the project? Well, we have Jane and Bob and Sally, and they're our best people. And we want to get this done in 90 days. Well, give me their calendar. Let's just look at their calendar first. Their calendars aren't going to show what they're doing from their regular work. They're just going to show the things that are distracting them from the regular work, and their calendars are full. So when you lay it out, it's like, look, if you want these 3 people to do this project, which will be 60% of their time, you're talking 18 months, not 3. You know what I mean? Like, so, and I get it because in the past business, my first business as an MSP, I was the president. You know what I mean? And I'm the one that always said, hey, Mike and Eliza are the best we have. Let's throw them on it. Well, they're doing work. I've lived this and I've made these mistakes. So I kind of understand that when we walk in and you're talking to get them, realistically, I think that this is all the hardest part of consulting or helping clients get to that point. And sometimes they could do it internally and, that's great, but a lot of times they need the outside set of eyes and also just the person to bring the group together a little better.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So now I can go talk to the director of finance who, isn't having a good run with IT, which is not uncommon. You see that a lot, and it's like, okay, how could I smooth this over to get this project done, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I love as a consultant, like you're talking about when you're talking about somebody who either runs the project or runs the business, and then you got the people involved. Things change, and especially now in the world we live in today, they change at rapid speed with the technology, and it's all about it being adaptable. And some people some can be adaptable, and many can't. And as a consultant, we have to be able to, manage that and be able to help them adapt. Otherwise, they are, it's gonna, work against them if they are so adamant about doing the way things they've always done it in the past, and yet it's not working. Can you talk about the adaptive side, what some things they can do to start to learn to be more, to adapt when it comes to what we're talking about today's subject?
Yeah, I think so. There's a bunch of things I could say about this. I think that the first thing that comes to mind for me, is understanding the silos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and that, almost always when we walk in to do a project, I want that, and I hate to use the old term because I am a boomer and I'm just going to say it, the guy, gal Friday. You know what I mean? I need that on the project, you know what I mean? Because for a couple reasons, for continuity for the client. In other words, when we're gone, you know what I mean? If we're putting in a new, like say ERP, which is huge, you're an ERP, there has to be that continuity from beginning to end to understand the whole process. So I think that adaptability can start with just a few people in the organization to help understand, lead to cash again. Don't want to beat that dead horse. But when they do, then they also can talk between the departments and the people to help bridge the gap that maybe we started to bridge. That's one of the things. I know that's kind of that's way outside technology, but that's one of the things I feel that a lot of businesses are missing.
Yeah.
And if they do have that person, it's usually someone whose hair's on fire, that are running around putting out fire. Yeah. The question is, how do you get them into a position where they're more valuable in solving problems, not putting up, but solving big problems. And I think that's something we see when we walk in the door to do a project. It's always, we have to have, who's going to be that person that, sometimes it's more than one. We like to call them subject matter experts, but they're really going to be more than that. They're also going to be continuity, because that's where problems always, silos happen.
That's what you said, because the silos are only see it from within their silo. They can't see it from the other silo, and vice versa.
Right. When you look at this, one of the biggest things is that a silo happens because of the handoff. If I'm in sales and I'm sending something to operations is expecting guacamole, but I'm giving them an avocado all the time. So I got to make it guacamole. I'm expecting guacamole, but I'm getting the avocado. So the whole idea here is to understand, silos happen because there's not communication or process in the handoff. And I think, so those are the areas we talked adaptability. The first thing I look at is to say, what's the continuity between the silos or the departments if they're not siloed? Because some operations work very well.
All the way they work, they do. Yeah.
Or there's certain departments or functions that work well with each other, but not all the way through all the time. So that's the first part, adaptability. And then, the second thing is going to be the personnel. You know what I mean? You can't make there's some people who are very A players that are very in their, subject matter experts,
They just stay in that,
lane, and that's all they're, that's it. That's fine. And then you have A players that you don't even know that are good across, that may be stuck in some function, and they're good at they're good somewhere else. So one of the other things we really focus on too, and it's not a sales pitch by no means, but one of the things you need to focus on is looking at some of that talent, and what their strengths are. And it's not ridiculous to do things like strength finders or DISC or,
I mean, the personal, I think those are all great tools because like if I have a better understanding of somebody's personality, even generational, like if I'm talking to a Gen Z, you're a baby boomer, I'm an older Gen X, I'm almost a baby boomer. We're not going to communicate the same way. But if I could adapt how I would talk now to someone younger, I might be more likely to we can get on the same page, because I can't assume what they're going to process what I'm saying. But if I ask the right questions or get them to get engaged, to now feel comfortable in communicating with me, now I can break down those barriers to those silos. Well, not complete, but at least heading in the right direction.
So you just hit something that's absolutely critical, because this is where we're at. And you bring up a good point, talking to the Z's, right?
And dealing with you probably heard last year, there was, I can't remember the companies, but I remember it was in the Wall Street Journal. There was 4 major corporations that said, we are not hiring Gen Z because we can't figure them out. We don't know how, we can't get them to do what we want them to do.
Yeah, well, that's because, that's so funny, and that because you got to kind of get into their, so one of the, this is crazy, maybe it sounds crazy, but one of the things I do is I volunteer at a local high school for the entrepreneurship class, and their end of semester project is Shark Tank. So we'll go in, and I don't go in and do the Shark Tank judgment. I go in and sit with the kids to build their business idea, business plan, and presentation. So I'm sitting with them, 16 hours a semester, you know what I mean? And just talking to Gen Zs and getting in their head. And it's so funny that they're brilliant. They're really smart, but they're just different. They're really just different. And the whole idea here is you really have no choice. We have to be able to talk to them and deal with them. We have no alternative. So I think part of the issue there is to understand a little bit more how they function and how to leverage that. And it's not easy because like anything else, there's good workers and there's not good workers. We see that. So a lot of times I think what the problem is that it's really hard to tell which are which with the Gen Zs when you're talking to them. But, my experience has been, I'm in 3 or 4 clients, and my Gal Fridays are all Gen Zs, and they're phenomenal.
Yeah. And it's just something, hey, I mean, you got to bring in new people. You got people like you and I. We're phasing out of our careers. Well, we're not retiring. You and I are consultants, but if we were working for someone, eventually they're going to move us out. And now so we're not communicating properly. Yeah. No, I love what you're sharing. What would be, as we get towards the end of the show, we have a few minutes. Can you share any other things that you have not covered yet that you feel can really connect the dots to what this topic is about today?
Yeah, so let's see. We talked about adaptability. I'm glad you brought up the Gen Z thing, because that's just huge right now. AI coming in. I think what I'd like to tell and they're all hearing this anyway from all different angles, but you really have to be prepared and not rush out. So I think that lead to cash ties into AI too. That's, if you look at if somebody's going to come in and do AI, the first thing you want to understand, what are your processes? And if you don't, you're just speeding up your problems is all you're going to do. So I think that has some relevance here, being prepared for AI and lead to cash. Some other areas, to me, it's really understanding. It's know thyself. My biggest thing is telling everybody, and if you could do it yourself, without bringing anybody, that's fine. But really look introspectively before you start going out to do anything, and just make sure everybody understands what it is today, and not try to rationalize why something's not working in a department, or it's okay. Whatever it is, but everybody understands it. I think that's the biggest thing I'd like to get across to everybody, because that, this way, when somebody walks in the door like me to sell you something or try to tell you something, at least you have an understanding internally of what's going on, and you can validate or at least try to validate what somebody's coming in and trying to tell you or trying to sell you or trying to implement.
Yeah, so true. So true. Well, this has been just a fabulous discussion with you leading with all this quality information. God, I wish this show was an hour, but it is only half an hour. But we're definitely going to have you back. You really have given some valuable insights, especially to the listeners out there that are running small to mid-sized businesses. Yeah. Also, those that might be in leadership or lead roles around operations and project management and so on. I want to thank you personally from our team here at TALRadio for taking time out of your day to be here with us, and want to extend that as again, thank you for being here.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. It's great always to talk to you, and I appreciate you expose me to all your listeners and allow me to share my thoughts.
We're more than happy to do that, and I would not want to give this opportunity. Let the listeners know, how can they find you? What are you up to, and anything that you'd like to offer?
Sure. Yeah, so you can find us at Compass Left, just the way it sounds, the compassleft.com. We kind of our shingles out there as a fractional CIO, any kind of project work in the technology business space, and it doesn't matter the industry. We typically sit between $20 to $400 million is where our clients sit, and once again, the industry doesn't matter. And we're doing everything from full ERP, getting ready to help sell, for evaluation, SOC 2, it doesn't matter. Whatever kind of problem that business is having with business and technology, that's kind of where we sit, and we love working with clients that roll up our sleeves and work with different teams and make them successful.
Wow. Thank you so much, Joe. We encourage everybody, reach out to Joe on his website. We'll also have, also on LinkedIn, we'll also have all Joe's contact information that will be here in the show notes. And if you want to reach out to us as well, we'll make sure to direct you to him. And again, make sure that you connect with Joe. He gave some valuable insights for you today to help move you forward. Till then, everybody, we want to thank all again our current listeners for being here each and every week here with Business Influencers. We here at TALRadio appreciate you. And again, any new listeners, if there's any subject matter content that you'd like to hear in the future, feel free to reach out to our team here at chris@christophersalem.com. We'd be more than happy to look into that for a future episode. And again, we encourage you to also follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple for this show each and every week. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next week at the same time. Take care.